Hello everyone and welcome back to Laguna, Seca. Here in Monterey, California, we've had our fair share of racing from yesterday's races. Now it's time for race 2, and before that, invitational race 2 of today's is HoloProto International 2026 season round 5, by the way. It is the Serendipity 400 here in the Laguna, Seca. Coming right up for you, and by that I mean specifically invitational race 2 and main race 2. So that out of the way, let's take a look into the track map, just to get everyone pretty much up and running on what the track looks like and what to expect. Again, as we mentioned earlier, it's a legendary racetrack known for its races in America, in endurance racing, sometimes in bike racing, sometimes in American open wheelers. It is a mainstay in the American racing calendar. Definitely a challenge for hot lapping. Can say the same thing for like racing and overtaking on this 3.6 kilometer racetrack, which it roughly translates to about, just over 2 miles. 11 corners in total, but sometimes they count one of these corners as a set of corners instead of just one, so it might actually be more than that. So anyways, as with yesterday's main race, we are going to race another 200 kilometers for another 54 laps. Actually, I just noticed it's actually 56 laps. Another sensory accumulation for the hosts, but that's not the day for that. But anyways, we've seen 115s in this track. Might we see a different outcome for today? Might we see a 114? Well, I really cannot answer that. But anyways, let's take a look into our first main course, our first appetizer of the day. Well, we'll basically talk about the standings at the border. We basically talked about that, but the basic gist of things is here. Dan Evans arrives here in Laguna Seca as a championship leader, but he currently has been enduring a pretty hard time with the races today. Currently, he's set to enter race 2 outside the points, where race 2 obviously will score points. We'll have you score points there. Talwin's here. Tassano will be expected to be one of the bigger gainers out there. Same goes with Iron, as they have survived the carnage of race 1 to finish inside the top 10. Obviously, we're going to talk about that later, but of course, we've got drivers who had been struggling all season so far. Angela Sims on Joshua Zurich being chief among them. Especially for Joshua Zurich, who hadn't finished better than 13th in this season since HoloProto. So he talks about how his how his title defense has been absolutely poor, and he has every right to believe so. So yeah, that is basically the championship standing. So let's take a look into our invitational race 2 grid for our first race of for today. Basically, we'll be racing an invitational race for only the EN class runners, as is tradition apparently. So again, it basically is a reverse order from race 1's result that sets the grid for race 2. So with Iron retiring early in the race, in the invitational race 1, she essentially booked her spot in pole position for invitational race 2, and lining up alongside her will be Tawan Bumin for Fuawa. Great Power and Matias Zacarias make up the second row, completing a BFF 2-3-4. Takeradachi for Ina will start in P5, with Hyo Tassano for Jijimori in P6. On row 4, it's Ty Williams and Alex Grant. The Clock and the Automaton starting in row 4. Momo Reza and Sven Jensen starting 9th and 10th. Sven Jensen actually had been seen in the Serendipity concert, so absolutely making use of his scheduling of today's races, but obviously he has taken the airport from Monterey to Los Angeles to make the trip to the Serendipity concert for day 1. He's going to probably do it again. Corey Jimenez and Rafael Oliveira in row 6, by the way. Rafael Oliveira set to start on the front row for the race 2, for main race 2. And on the back of the grid is Evelyn Karomi and Joshua Zurich in row 7. And Haziyazit, who was actually the winner for Invitational Race 1, will start at the back of the grid after winning in Invitational Race 1. Alright, out of the way, introductions out of the way, my name is Mama Reza in the commentary booth. Glad to have everyone here for today's races here in Laguna Seca. And I hope you've been enjoying the Formula Holo streams. Well, Formula Holo and Stars Touring, where obviously in Stars Touring, let me just check the settings. Okay, while that happened, the grid was set for the Formula Holo races. And with that, we do want to point out a few things that have happened. Fuawa and Takane Louis will start on the front row in the FHCS Silverstone race. And on the FHWC race, Pavoli Rene and Yamil Fissa will start on the front row. Pavoli Rene, of course, with the pole position. Fuawa, of course, with the pole position as well in the FHWC and FHCS races, respectively. And that being said, congratulations to them. Of course, Tawan Bumin is inside the top 10. Is inside the top 10 for race 2. As does Ryan Kagawa, who actually won race 1 of the Serendipity 400. And Ella Sims also inside the top 10. Obviously, Chase Kinsai was crashed out in last week's race in HoloProto Japan. But anyways, with that dilly-dally out of the way, we are going to do our 4-lap invitation. We're going to do our 4-lap invitational. Cars lined up on the grid already. And obviously there is a big... Oh, look, it's the VTRP. They've just joined in. We just talked about how the FHCS and FHWC races have just happened. Obviously. Alright, obviously we got some of the mates here in aero competitions, and the VTRP mates have obviously wanting to see how the BFF mates have gone. But anyways, let's not waste too much of our time. Let's get our hot dog. What's going on here? Anyways, let's all get ourselves ready for the race. The cars lined up. And here we go. We have, of course, Iron, who starts on pole position after retiring early from yesterday's Invitational Race 1. Let's see how she handles the heat. And we are off here in Laguna Seca. And, of course, it's a great start there from Iron. But meanwhile, we have Tawan Bumin ready to pounce on this Invitational. But right now, there's no moves to be had. And also, everyone's been told to calm down with the sausage curbs. Which is probably why one of our VTRP mates mentioned hot dog. But anyways, Zacharias already making his move to defend P4. Oh, and this car's going off the track. That's Adachi. And oh, it's a big slam. Takeda Adachi being our first casualty of today's Invitational Race 2. And it will be Takeda Adachi in ETA number 17 out. Well, at least there's more time for him to prepare for main race 2. But anyways, Irene now leads Tawan Bumin in P2. Power in P3. Meanwhile, we also have Zacharias P4, Williams 5th, Asano 6th, Grant 7th, Jetson 8th, Charlie Reza in P9, and Oliveira runs on the top 10. Well, obviously, we got a good decent race on our hands here. Obviously, this race serving as basically a warm-up for the EN class cars. But before you say, what about the ID class cars and the EN ones? Well, they have their practice runs as well. It's just that it's not televised. Not in a race setting. But at least they got some practice time. But anyways, Iron now will lead the first lap. Tawan Bumin now in second. Great Power in third. Zacharias now in P4. Well, it's not been a good time though for Matias. Ever since he takes over the Rara number 60. Obviously, he's had better results in the only number 13 than even in his own Oshi ride. So Zacharias now absolutely charging forward with P4. And meanwhile, trying to make use of, you know, Fuawa's great run in FHCS qualifying. Tawan Bumin is going to try to make live up to those expectations by trying to get into Iron right now. And obviously, it is a very good charge from the Thai driver, who has also reaffirmed his commitment to the ARO. Can't tell about contracts, but anywho, we do want to point out though about his arts too. That's something that we also want to appreciate. Obviously, we got a lot of talented people in the ARO. Of course, if you also heard of Holo Trials, the new Holo indie game that's about to be released soon. Maybe we'll do a playover once it's there. But anyways, now Bumi already goes down the inside of Irene as Bumi now sets the fastest lap, but he can't get alongside. Absolutely showing his great racing pace here as he now tries to close in onto Irene. But here's the thing there. Remember when I said about Laguna Seca being a track for hot lapping and not for racing? This is what we meant. Oh, and Great Power has an engine failure. Or rather, he decides to just retire and also join in with Adachi with having more preparation time for the main race too. Anyways, Bumin absolutely charging there against Irene. Zacharias now continuing on in P3. Williams now up into P4. Kutasana and Alex Grant now going for that auto fister 5th and 6th. Jensen 7th, Sanreza 8th, De Oliveira 9th, and then we got Corey Mendes in P10. Hiromi 11th, Azurit 12th, Yazid P13. Irene now sets the fastest lap of the race as we now start the final lap here of Invitational Race 2. Obviously, this race means nothing in the grand scheme of things. But of course, there is still some bragging rights to be had. It's like F1 Sprint, by the way. If you want to find some similes or basically some equivalents. But anyways, Irene has had it under control. Basically, it's going to be another lights flight performance from Irene, but take nothing away from Tawan though. Tawan Bumin, who actually had tried to go alongside Irene, but could not get it done. And obviously, as these drivers now continue to make their way over to the start-finish line, Irene still in control. Chaos will be on her side, as Irene will now get into the final corner. Irene has played dice and Irene has rolled 6s in this Invitation Race 2. Irene takes the checkered flag in this Serendipity 400 race. More drivers have crossed the line. It will be the remaining 13 cars who will be crossing it. As you see here on your screen, Zacharias 3rd, Williams 4th, Asano in 5th. I'm gonna wait for Yazid to cross the line, and we will be showing you the results now. This is only the invitation. It's not the main race. So, anyways, Irene takes the checkered flag in Invitational Race 2. Tawan Bumin in 2nd, Matias Zacharias 3rd, Williams in 4th, Hyutasano 5th. Also, a bit of a fun fact: look at the Thai and Costa Rica flags. They're like inverted colors, although I'll admit the blue and the red does look a bit different. Alex Grant 6th, Sven Jensen 7th, Sheldon Reza 8th, Rafael de Oliveira in P9, and Koi Rica Mendez rounds out the top 10. Chromie in 11th, Azurit 12th, Hazik Yazid P13, Great Power P14, and of course, rounding out the field is Takeda Dachi in P15. Alright, so with that out of the way, we are just gonna go for a quick save of this race, and then we're going to immediately get ourselves ready for the main race coming up. This will be the race that will decide the points, that will basically award the full points for the international runners. And obviously, if the two JP class cars are inside the top 15, they will be excluded from the calculation and will bump the drivers from 16th and 17th from the EN and ID class cars to give them the points, because obviously the JP class cars are listed as guest entries. Sure, Kobo and Zed are also listed as guests for the concert, but here in Aero competitions and in the HoloProto International season, they count as full-time drivers and therefore are eligible for full points. as Lusby and Hanari Miyuki have illustrated. All right. All right, with that out of the way, we are going to... Oh, this is a good shock here. Never mind, I just checked on what happened in F1. But anyways, let's take a look into what's basically the... Just gonna really go a bit of a zoom out for a while. And all right. So anyways, that is our invitational race done. Let's take a look into the main race 2 grid for today's is Laguna Seca Serendipity 400. And with that, as we saw yesterday, Ryan Kagawa and Yuri Rafael de Oliveira make up the front row for the start of our main race 2. Jay Goodwin with a good race here to survive the odds, and of course starting from pole position, from the front row in basically qualifying has also done him wonders. He will be joined by Aziz Muaziv in P4 for Fayu Narisu. In row 3, it's Inochi Tayo and Hyuta Asano, representing Kayla Kowalski and Kijiji Murit respectively. Meanwhile, Tawan Bumi will have the hopes of the Ruffians and those who support the BFF unit, as he starts P7 alongside Angela Sims, who is gonna see if she can get a good points haul for today's race. Meanwhile, got Irene and Hazik Yazid making up row 5 for Hakos Bales and Sherry Novella. And then joining them will be Mohamed Cashew and Tal Williams at row 6, representing Sunamaki Watame and Orokoni respectively. The guest entrant, Mohamed Cashew, looking to see if he can spoil the party. Evelyn Kromi and Takeda Adachi make up row 7, representing ERB and Nino Mai Inanis, with Corey Kamenda starting P15 in car number 50. Enzo Ferrari for Kreiji Oli in P16, that's where he will start. Moshe Reza and Dan Evans starting in 17th and 18th on row 9, with Sven Jensen and Alex Grant starting in 19th and 20th after being involved in the huge pileup on lap 16 that took out at least 3-4 cars. Meanwhile, Javier Lusby have also enduring a pretty miserable season so far. We'll hope to find some bounce back in... hang on, I also want to double check things. Anyways, we also want to bounce back from each of their underwhelming seasons. Obviously, Lusby in 22nd currently in the standings. Same goes for Joshua Zuri, who is currently dead last in the standings. The deadbeat driver looking to see if he can change his fortunes around. Matej Zacharias and Great Prowers starting on row 12 also will want to see if they could bounce back for Team BFF, representing Robertera, Bokoko, Biscar respectively. And then Jari Panata, who basically crashed on lap 1 of main race 1, will also want to see if he can get something out of this race. And Hanari Miyuki will start at the back of the grid. We got a lot of people tuning in. Nice to see everyone joining up for the party. Anyways, Hanari Miyuki did finish 22nd. Well, listed as 22nd in main race 1, but will start at the back of the field after receiving a 5-place grid penalty for her shenanigans that involved her rejoining the track unsafely and causing a collision that wiped out 4 cars. Alright, so we're just gonna finish off the thing of our preparations as we're about to get this race underway. So we got our cars basically lined up on the grid. That's Ryan Kagawa there, already lined up for the start. Tons of intrigue for today. So we just have to wonder how these drivers are thinking about it as we're about to get this race underway. As we got our 26 cars here in this Serendipity 400 race 2. It's Ryan Kagawa on pole position. It's Rafael de Oliveira next to him. And we are off in today's Serendipity 400 race 2. And it's a great start from Kagawa. Let's see if anyone's going to fluff up their lines into the Andretti hairpin. And it looks to me that no one's going to fluff up their lines. Everyone is going to get calm and collected. And oh my, I didn't see anything. Anyways, everyone just about survives it. as everyone is about to try to jostle for position. No crashes just yet. We got cars going off once again at turn 3, but no casualties as far as everyone is concerned. Kagawa now leads Jay Goodwin in second. De Oliveira's now in P3, Hinochitaya P4, Wazir in P5, Asana P6, Boomin in P7, Iron in 8th, Sims in 9th, and Haziyazi rounds out the top 10. Frantic first lap here as they're now all about to approach the hairpin, or rather the corkscrew, basically the corner that is feared by many drivers alike in the world motorsport scene. Let's look at the amount of descent that you're all going to be taking here, and the amount of body work that it basically flies. Anyways, we're now seeing drivers making their way into basically the downhill section, into Rain Corner. And listen to me, everyone has just survived. Everyone has basically learned from their mistakes. We've seen double wide action, but everyone's now avoided the curbs. That's what we want to see. Although we do have a bit of information from the drivers further back. It's now going to be Azurit now dropping down into last place. But again, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. You still have 55 laps to run. And right now, Azurit is going to peel around the inside. And, oh, I think he's made contact into the inside wall. Whether or not he's actually picked up damage, I have no idea. It's a bit of a bow day for Tawan Boomin, and he's running in P7, trying to chase down Hyuta Sano, running in P6. The race is now going to be calming down, and we will be checking on the pit stop cycles. Every driver has been told before race 2 to avoid all of the sausage curbs. And right now we're seeing Corey Mendes now already overtaking Mohamed Shadariza, but he has had a poor run as they're now coming into the corkscrew. Shadariza is now alongside Corey Rico as they're now coming down into the... Oh, and Corey Rico just about holds off Shadariza, but will it be for long? Well, we're in for an amazing race here. Let's just hope that the amount of attrition isn't a lot. Anyways, Jake Goodwin now has set the fastest lap of the race. Funny how it's basically not the EN class cars that are absolutely showing up, but here Rafael, meanwhile, is absolutely giving it everything he's got in that Narissa number 76. And right now, the question is, do we want to hear... wanted to show off the race winner predictions. Now, obviously, we've basically shared with you which drivers represent who. And because right now, Ryan Kagawa is representing Pavolia Rene, Jake Goodwin for Camimio. We are Rafael de Oliveira, obviously living up to the expectations of the diva, the demonic diva of sound, who allures people with her voice. De Oliveira is one of those, and he is obviously a bona fide jailbird. And he's absolutely making it work onto the racetrack as he's now chasing Goodwin and Ryan Kagawa, and now into the final corner. As we're about to finish 3 laps of running here, we're going to take a look into the race field monitor to see how the strategy will go. And the earliest the drivers will be pitting will be Gray Prower, who I believe will be pitting in around before lap 20. As Yoshitayo now sets the fastest lap of the race now in the Kaila number 58. Obviously, we got some fine viewership here for today. Absolutely nice to see the viewers tuning into today's Laguna Seca Serendipity 400. Obviously, this is the race that coincides with the concert in Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles. That basically coincides with the Hall members performing in the English members performing in their 4th concert. And if you want to know more information about the concert, there's a QR code on the bottom right of your screen for you to check on their website and maybe take a look into the streaming ticket if you're able to buy the streaming ticket. Otherwise, you can just watch the free part, which it only covers like the first parts of the concert on each day. Obviously, only like 3 to 4 to 5 songs. Sims in P9, meanwhile, I do want to go back into the championship context here. Sims absolutely doing her job here to try to get herself up and running into this championship battle. I mean, we've seen drivers go from the back to the front. If you could recall, Joshua Zurin, who basically replaced Jake Martinez in the Mori Calliope number 4 mid-season in 24-25 Formula Hall and International season, he inherited a ride that was near the back of the near the back of the grid, and then he almost staged one of the comebacks in aero competition history, as he almost sniffed the championship at almost got the chance to lift the trophy at Mandalika, but of course things didn't go his way, and it went to Javier Lusby, who obviously for various reasons have now become the oldest driver in aero history to win an aero title at the age of, like, what? Yep. I believe he's born in 1982. I think he's 43. I think he's 43 years old, and he was 42 when he won in Mandalika. So obviously we got the drivers of various ages racing in aero competitions. What is this, Racing Academy? gonna slide into my joke. You got Nishino Flau, who's a little child, and Marzensky, who's literally a hag in the basically the Racing Academy grounds. Same thing in aero competitions, where we have teenagers in the competition. Also, people over the age of 30. One of which is, Takeda Adachi! Takeda Adachi has an engine failure! Takeda Adachi has an engine failure, and that will basically be him out of the race. And also, joining him will be Aziz Muazif. And also, Aziz Muazif is a bit of a thing, because I want to see what happened to him. Oh, yep, engine failure for him as well. So, it will be, Muazif in 26, Adachi in 25th. Lusby is the Alonso of the aero. Yeah. So yeah, we have 2 engine failures for 2 entrants. One for the Ayuda Risu entrant and one for Takeda Adachi, who had won at this very track last February when they were running the Laguna Seca Grand Prix in Formula Hall Live International. Not to be confused with Formula Holo from VTRP. Obviously, Takeda Adachi survived a bloodbath of a race to win in Laguna Seca. Unfortunately, he's not going to have that luck today. Anyways, the battle for the race lead is continuing to heat up, with Kagawa now leading Goodwin and De Oliveira in P3. And obviously, the comments, I absolutely would appreciate if you guys would keep chatting your thoughts in the comments, so that I will be able to respond to your messages live. Anyways, we're going to be taking a look into the rest of the running order here. To look for storylines. Dan Evans right now currently in P16. He's had probably one of the best starts in aero competitions history, with obviously an average finish of 1.3. And by that, I mean he won the Fuji race to start off the HoloProto World season, which also counts towards the international season standings, as well as Sebring. That puts him at basically giving him 2 wins out of 2 races. And then in Le Mans, he only finished second, he only finished third, where he basically got 175 points. Sorry, it's actually an average finish of 1.6. Sorry. But in those first 3 races. But then in Burram, he was involved in a collision, or rather him aquaplaning off of a very wet Burram track, for him to only score a P12. And now he's going to try to get himself back into the points to soften the damage that's currently being caused by him having issues in race 1, for him to maintain his lead in the standings. His lead stands at 185 points ahead of Tyler Williams, who's representing Ora Crony in 2nd place. So yeah, It is correct, though. Javier Lisby is like Fernando Alonso in the ARO. I mean, you could actually make the argument that it's actually very similar. Because if you look at Fernando Alonso, obviously being the driver that he is known today, I mean, he's only like a year older than Javier Lisby. He's currently running in P20. But anyways, we are checking this top 3 battle here that's still currently brewing between these 3. Meanwhile, Hyota Asano also giving everyone a bit of a headline. Obviously, he's also shown to be a very credible racer with basically an average finish of 6 from what we're, well, not exactly an average finish of 6, but he has basically scored an average of 90 points every race. Obviously, a top 5 here would absolutely help his cause. With Kyle Williams currently running in P11, it will mean that he will most likely overtake Williams for P2 in the standings. Right now, and I mean, you're not wrong when you mention that there's a 0.2 of a second gap, because Asano and Bumin are currently very much close to each other. But remember when I said about Laguna Seca being a track for hot lapping and not for overtakes? This is what I meant. You can have either a track that's good for hot lapping or a track that's good for overtaking. Because rarely you'll see a track that does both. Because that's exactly what we're seeing here. Right now, Laguna Seca is a track for hot lapping, especially with a lot of elevation changes and tight, with basically fast flowing corners, and also the corkscrew. But that actually screws up your opportunity to make the pass onto someone, which actually means that the importance is now more onto the strategy. I'll explain on that later in today's stream. So yeah. Obviously, we got 2 cars going off the track, but it's currently inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. Meanwhile, Goodwin is still keeping tabs on Kagawa. De Oliveira, meanwhile, is absolutely coming in hot. Sven Jensen also coming in hot onto Dan Evans. And also, if you see a track... we're seeing Dan Evans already. Zacharias now going down the inside onto Sven Jensen. There's a move now for the Rara Pantera number 60. As they're now coming into this very dangerous corner. And now you can see Zacharias has to back off. He does not want to risk going over to those sausage curds and risk ending his race early. So he has to take the L on this one as they're now coming into the corkscrew. Just do it. Well, you can just do it and risk ruining the entire race for you and some other teammates. So I feel like Zacharias has done a very good job here, just trying to just take it easy so far. But as for the others, it's all about trying to understand how you need to make your overtakes. So now coming into the lowest point of the circuit here, sorts, probably joint with the final corner. Now they're gonna go back uphill for lap 11. And if you want to talk about temperatures, it's actually quite breezy with it's actually quite breezy, and it's also quite cold at around less than 60 or rather 72 degrees Celsius. Sorry, Fahrenheit, which is actually less than, which is around 18 to 19 degrees Celsius for the ambient temperatures. Basically, it's a pretty sunny morning, but it's a cold and sunny morning, so... So anyways, the race continues to take shape. Obviously, there's no pit stops just yet for our 24 remaining runners. Joshua Zurich, meanwhile, currently in the final spot here. Oh, speaking of which, we are going to be expecting the first pit stop already. Looking at actually, just want to take a look here. Maybe not, because Mazim and Adachi are already out of this race. So, no pit stops scheduled just yet. And meanwhile, just wanted to check on to some more interesting interesting battles here to look into. While looking at Asano and Bowman, the gaps have basically opened up. Here's a gap that's kind of basically remained pretty much closed. As we see Shadareza now leading Evans, Jensen, and Zacharias. Zacharias, of course, showcasing his ability as a racing driver and as a Chitino. Trying to get close there. As Iron also is getting closer into Tawan Bowman. This battle for P5 still pretty much up in the air. Asano still hanging on to that P5 spot, but should have no problems defending as long as he still is not, as long as he's not that off the pace compared to Bowman, Iron, and Sims. Which, and also a funny fact here: only one EN class car inside the top 4, and that's Rafael de Oliveira, and none in the top 2 positions. And looking into the past results here, just wanted to take a look here. And obviously in race 2 of the Breaking Dimensions, it was Javier Luzbi that won in Lime Rock Park. In 2025, in the All-for-One in the All-for-One races at Watkins Glen, Jeff Rohan for Takayami Towa took the checkered flag for Jeff Rohan took the checkered flag for Takayami Towa. And in 2020, and right now it's a ID class car on currently leading race 2. And for the Connect the World race, obviously for this one we're gonna have to absolutely check for basically previous records for the Connect the World races. I just wanted to check. So for the Capture the World, I am gonna double check because I'm not sure if there are any standings to look into because I don't think there's any. Alright, anyways, okay, the race actually had to be, what do we call, forfeited. So basically, in the history of the EN concert races from 2023, I don't think there's any EN class car. Oh, Evelyn Cromie and Sven Jensen have basically gone together at basically turn 6, and that will be their races over. At least for Sven Jensen, this means that he can head into Shrine Auditorium earlier. But you can see the mark that they have left. Looks to me that they both brought each other into the DNF. Let's see what happened there to Sven Jensen and... Alright, so here's what happened there to this one. Oh, okay, so it's not really a coming together as it is actually 2 cars going off the track. So let's see what happened to Kuromi. And also, I believe it's, the same thing happened to Sven Jensen. You can see here, lock up. And also, lock up. So, yeah, both cars actually locked up at the exact same corner, nearly the exact same time. And it's now both of them out of this race. Absolute heartbreak for these 3. Oh, right. So, yep, that's already 2 retirements adding up to the 2 that we've had earlier this race. But meanwhile, looking into our remaining runners, looking into the attrition level, it's not really that bad. Once everyone basically has been told to avoid the sausage curbs, it's mainly just the lockups. But even then, the lockups are pretty much inconsequential with the running of the race. So everyone has not been ordered to, since they've been told to just calm down. Everyone's just doing a good job, just trying to keep themselves on their toes. But meanwhile, I do want to point out one thing here. There's a potential battle for the race lead, and it's right here. Ryan Kagawa has been leading since lap 1 in race 2, but right now it's just a question mark as to whether or not he's able to maintain that amount of pressure. Just saying. Forgot that we have not posted in Twitter about the race. Oopsies. It's also a pretty easy concert name to get mixed up with. Just wanted to post that right here. So anyways, we do have 22 cars remaining, and right now we're not going to be expecting a lot more levels of attrition as we're now seeing this race continue to unfold. And right now the gaps have opened up between Kagawa and Jay Goodwin. Everyone's still pretty much on their toes. So again, the race isn't just about trying to be fast over a set amount of distances. It's also about basically a mental game where you try to basically keep your mental fortitude sharp throughout the running of the race. This includes trying to keep yourself focused and to be alert and aware of the current situation and trying to adapt when things change. And obviously, there's also experiences to be had from this race, and so yeah, and if you have more experience, it absolutely adds to your overall value as a competitor. Speaking of competitions, about what happened in the Stars Touring, Kuku Ribeiro has taken a checkered flag in Silverstone, joined by Aragami Oga and Gold Bullet. Congratulations to those drivers as they have secured the podium, and for everyone else, there's always the other races where you can probably leave your mark. Speaking of which, Azurit is currently coming into turn 6. Ryan Kagawa is now coming into turn 10. And right now, we just have to wonder though when the first pit stops will take place. And looking at Muhammad Cashew is also feel very low at the start. This race is going to try to go for the undercut strategy. Same goes for Ray Prower and Enzio Ferrari. Alright, so anyways, we got much of this race to go. And let's see how it goes for the rest of the field. Alex Grant currently running in P17 still. Trying to see if he can reunite with Asano, who's currently running in P5. We obviously had that bit of out-of-fister moments in race 1 and in the invitational races. Let's see if they can meet up again in basically main race 2. Alright, so Tawan Bumin obviously is currently a long shot to win in today's race, but we'll see how it goes in pit stop strategies. Obviously, I've seen basically things go both ways, but I think if you can keep on banging on good laps while you're on your first stint, when your other opponents have already pitted and suddenly they get stuck in traffic, that's the strategy to go. As meanwhile, we're seeing the first of our entries coming into the pits. That's Muhammad Cashew and Enzio Ferrari coming in, and we are expecting Great Proud to also join in as well. Otherwise, if you feel confident that when you exit when you make an early pit stop and also exit in clear air, you expect that you're able to. Oh, and there's a big moment there for Tawan Boomin. Oh, but manages to get himself back on the track, but he loses his position to Iron. You saw what happened there. Iron just went off the track at turn 3, but manages to keep his car pointed in the right direction. He does have some damage, but he's able to continue on as normal in racing speed. Great stuff there from Boomin to just keep the car running at the very least. But anyways, back into the undercut strategy. If you pit early, have basically clear amount of road in front of you, and you can warm up your tires to the optimal levels of grip, and you're able to be faster than the drivers who are in front of you. Then when they pit and they suddenly end up being behind you, that's what you consider an overtake under the undercut strategy. So we basically just saw Great Power and Co already making their pit stops. Same goes with Casio and Ferrari. They're basically loaded up until the end. We'll see how their lap times go, and if they are faster than the drivers in front, then they're in for a realistic shot of gaining positions in this undercut strategy. But otherwise, if they have gone slower, then this is the sign for everyone to go for the overcut strategy. Try to pit for as late as you can, and try to see if you can maintain track position. But anyways, Tawan Boomin currently running in P7, having had some mistakes. Obviously, your brain would say you're Rafael de Oliveira. And obviously, man, you gotta have to have that surreal feeling of having being shown support by not only your own ARO mates, but also the jailbirds who may be watching today's stream. So, we'll see how it goes here. But anyways, the other prediction is Iron for Hagos Bales, who obviously alright, so anyways, that is basically the race predictions that our viewers have essentially shared, and obviously again, I value your opinions and questions as much as you do. So anyways, I'm gonna bring in more questions. We're gonna bring in more questions here, as we are just going to also, I'm just gonna screenshot this part for archiving purposes. Alright, so we're gonna close the Q&A, as we're gonna start off with a new question. Alright, so we're gonna So, if you have any random predictions to happen in this race, or if we have a random moment that might happen in the race, you also want to share as well, as we now get to see Jake Goodwin now get his way into his pit box. And looking into our runners at the back, obviously Cashew is set at 119, and actually that is a fastest second sector. Enzo Ferrari also showing a good amount of pace as well. So obviously they might be cooking up something very, very nice. And obviously we need to see how our runners are going for. And also just notice here, Kagawa now leads De Oliveira in second. Meanwhile, Tawan Boomin has overtaken Angela Sims, as now we're going to see Tawan Boomin trying to stick around the inside, but he has overtook the corner, and Angela Sims manages to re-overtake Boomin there, and Hazik Yazid's ready to pounce on the opportunity. However, we're just gonna have to see how it goes. Iron in P5 continuing to pile on the pressure onto Hyuta Asano in P4. Ryan Kagawa is now inside the pit lane right here. And we will see how De Oliveira stacks up with the drivers at the back who have already pitted. And De Oliveira sets a 1:20.103. So obviously, this is a sign that the undercut strategy needs to be done. But obviously, at the same time, if you pit later, then you might be able to spend less time in the pits because more often than not, the time taken to refuel is more than the time taken to change your tires. So De Oliveira is going to try to find that sweet spot of a pit stop window for him to try to get things done. So now De Oliveira is currently in the race lead, looking to see if he can win. I think he's already actually won though in Formula Hall International. And I believe he won for Rene. Check here, Rafael De Oliveira actually got a best finish of second in Sepang 2. And for, well, okay, I need to double check the points here. Rafa obviously has had moments where he only got a second place finish. He's been a second place man for as long as it's been, but as we see more drivers now coming into the pit, Williams now in 11th. Now we are gonna see here of De Oliveira. We will see his previous lap, and his previous lap was actually a 1:20.131. So at least he's been consistent. But of course, that might not reflect the current situation with the race leaders. 2.5 seconds now separating De Oliveira and Hinochi Tayo. But more crucially, we do want to check about Kagawa and Goodwin. And right now they have a lot of clear air in front of them. So right now this might be a sign that De Oliveira may need to pit. But if he does pit, on which he might and has actually chosen not to. And if you look at De Oliveira though, De Oliveira is actually going for a bit longer than some people may think. So that might actually give him a bit of an advantage because he doesn't have a lot of time to refuel for fuel and he only needs to change the tires. So here's the pit stop cycles currently taking place. Alright, so just gonna check though on the random things that might happen in this race. I'm not sure if there's gonna be a meteor shower that's gonna fall in this track. As we're seeing more drivers currently in their pit boxes, Azurin and Zacharias also coming in, as well as we're seeing a pretty active pit lane here. Azurin also coming out, Zacharias also coming out. And Zacharias will probably be good to gain a few more positions, as we're now seeing here Hanari Miyuki currently at the back of the field, already looking to clear Azurid. So yep, Azurid will remain at the back of the field. Williams meanwhile has, I believe Williams was running in P11, was it P10 or something, and now he's dropped down to P19. Still behind Asano, but ahead of Miyuki. On which, just want to check though about Miyuki's pit stops. She actually was among the earlier drivers who had made a pit stop. So it's the undercut strategy that is currently the strategy to be, as Tawan Bumin now heads into pit lane. So Bumin's relative positioning will be with Yuta Asano and Tyler Williams. And Kasha Ferrari and Prower have already pitted, and they're still behind Kagawa and Goodwin. And Tawan Bumin has already peeled out. Asano is now already coming out, and Asano will easily dispatch Bumin, it seems. But no, Bubin has actually managed to stay ahead of Asano. So this for Tawan Bubin, the overcut strategy is a strategy to go, as we now have confirmed it. Tawan Bubin now is ahead of Asano, and it looks to me that Bubin will be good for a top 5. Still gonna see if he can stretch his stint for as long as he can, as we're about to come into the halfway stage of the Laguna Seca Serendipity 400. 120, 168. It's been a very consistent run from the Jailbird, obviously showcasing his vast swaths of experience racing in the competitions. As much as he's only had second place finishes to basically shout out with, he's still absolutely charging forward. Haziyazi already making his pit stop, and right now we will see his position relative to Tyler Williams. Haziyazi has just gone out. What I'm seeing here, and it looks to me that he will get ahead of Tawan Bubin as it stands. But will he? Looks like he will. And down into the pit lane he goes. He's already seen great power, and right now Tawan Bubin is about to go alongside. And yes, Haziyazi has actually beaten Tawan Bubin. So the overcut strategy is actually the strategy to go. But meanwhile, Tawan Bubin is going to see if he can go down the inside. Almost contact between Haziyazi and Tawan. But Tawan manages to keep the car pointed in the right direction. And now Hyuta Asano is about to join in on the fight. The Grand Marine absolutely going to see if he can make the pass done. Hyuta Asano already having shown winning pedigree in aero competitions so far, having won in his debut in aero competitions for GE Marine in Sentol, no less. And since then, he has yet to sniff a victory for the Grand Marines. And right now, this level of attrition is far less, which can only be a good thing. Because now we're going to see the drivers absolutely bringing on the show here. Meanwhile, we are being told that Sven Jensen has already left the circuit and has already made his way into the airport in Monterey to take the flight to Los Angeles to catch Serendipity Day 2. Developments here, and Iron and Angela Sims are currently in their own battles here. This is going to be a very juicy battle here. Not often do you see Iron and Angela Sims currently sharing the same amount of racetrack and actually sharing this own battle for position. And right now, they are known to be pretty much petty rivals between each other. And obviously, they've had their own fair share of tatting, if that term is indeed real. But anyways, we are seeing drivers who have already made their pit stops here. Speaking of lap times here, Kagawa is already setting 118s. Goodwin's already setting 118s. De Oliveira, meanwhile, setting 120s. And then Evans has had some time off the track, but he manages to recover, and that's going to allow the door for Javier Luzme to go down the inside to Alex Gwen. And Alex Gwen has gone off the track. The Automaton having shown some form of malfunction there, and now Johnny Panato is about to join in on the fight after crashing out on race 1. He's absolutely showing renewed vigor in race 2 for the Munafics. Yes, who'll be up there jadunning their souls. Iron is, of course, and now she has the upper hand on her own rival Angela Sims, at least for the driver context here. As it stands right now, Sims will also be in the pits. So that's that as well. So it's De Oliveira now setting 119.285, which is still not enough to fend off the charge from Kagawa and Goodwin. But De Oliveira will have one advantage in hand, and that's the freshest tires out of anyone so far, plus their opponent's tires having been worn out. But this requires a track that's good for racing and overtaking, so It's a great move by Looseby, true, but also there was a slight mistake by Adak-RMS because he overtook the corner and understeered into the sand pit. And right now we are checking into our guest entries. Mama Cashew now running running in P12. Look, it's a good run though for our invitational runners here. Looseby now is up into P7. Miyuki still in P20 after having served that penalty. Goodwin in P11, Cashew in P12. Both of them have already made their pit stop. And it's the overcutters that have actually gained the most ground. Because I remember Cashew was actually a few bits behind Goodwin in terms of positions. But now these two are only separated by 1 position. Well, they're not. No, well, nothing separates between the two. It's just 10 seconds. Meanwhile, De Oliveira is now picking up the pace. 119, 151. If there's anyone who you would want to support to win in today's race, you have to look no further than Yuri Rafael De Oliveira, who has come twice in multiple instances. And for this jailbird, we'll see how it goes as we're now seeing Evans and Looseby make their way into the pit box. Sparks may be flying because, of course, there's a lot of force or scraping by to the racetrack. The cars obviously running very low for maximum downforce and basically responsiveness. Ray Prower also comes in for his pit stop as well. As we're seeing even more shuffling down the order. Oh, that's Great Prower! Great Prower has an issue! What's going on with Great Prower? Oh dear, that's Great Prower. And he's currently facing his own pit wall. Oh my goodness, that's an issue for Grave. It's not been a great day. It's not been a great weekend for him. So here's what happened to Great Prower. If you do want to see what happened to him. Oh, he just slammed the wall. He just slammed the wall and had a massive engine failure as a result. Absolute heartbreak for the Mokoko side of BFF. 2 races running, 2 retirements for Grave. Absolute heartbreak. Alright, just wanted to double check on who has yet to make a pit stop. Here are the drivers who have yet to make their pit stops here. De Oliveira, Hiroshi Tayo, Iron, Shadariza, Koi Recommendez, and Alex Grant. These are the drivers who have yet to make their pit stops. And obviously, these drivers who have yet to make their pit stops are already on 30 plus old tires. And of course, we are already into over the first half of this, past the first half of this race. We're now in the second half. And looking into the biggest gainers who have, of course, yet to make their pit stops, Pranata has gained 19 positions. We're expecting Pranata to lose about 12 to 13. Hanare Miyuki has gained 10 positions from her, 9 positions from her P26 start. And right now, if there's any driver who is at serious risk of being lapped, it's Javier Looseby, currently in P21. And De Oliveira finally comes in for his pit stop. And right now, Goodwin and Kagawa are around 30 seconds behind. And they are looking to be in a serious position to gain a 10-second lead over De Oliveira. As Hiroshi Tayo now comes in for his pit stop. Now the question is, how fast will and how fast can De Oliveira make his pit stop? And if he can exit pretty quickly, it's going to be good news for him. But it's not going to happen. De Oliveira is still pretty much stationary, but he's only got off now. Kago is already making his way out. Same goes for Goodwin. And De Oliveira is going to consolidate P3. But remember, he has the freshest tires out of these 3 drivers. So there's a very good chance that he should be able to manually claw back the gap between, but not the other issue is, how is he able to make an overtake between these 2 elite level drivers to give Nerissa Ravencroft her win in this season's HoloProto, and also Rafael's win for himself as well. Nice to see great viewerships here. Alright, Asano and Grant to reunite. Well, we will see how it goes here. Asano's down in P13. Once Grant makes his pit stop, there's a good chance we will see Auto Fister again. Engine failure? Well, we got what we got it. But at what cost? I mean, we see Great Power actually slamming the inside wall at the main straight so aggressively that he had an engine failure himself, so... Alright, so Alex Grant will now come in for his pit stop. Here's where Asano is. And since the gap between Sam and Corey Jimenez is actually pretty sizable, so we might expect something to happen in terms of seeing Auto Fister once again. So yeah, it's going to take some miracle to see Auto Fister again on the racetrack. But for now, we are going to pay attention to Kagawa, who now has who's now having a 17-second gap between himself and Moshe and Reza, who's currently running in P3. Nuch Tayo now currently leads the Laguna Seca Serendipity 400. 5-second gap to Goodwin. Yep. But I do want to point out, though, that De Oliveira, remember, has the freshest tires available out of these top 3 runners. Just look at the difference with the tire wear. De Oliveira has at least 10 laps fresher tires than, of course, Kagawa and Goodwin. Goodwin, of course, having the oldest tires out of the 3. So right now we are going to see here how the lap times will come down between Kagawa and De Oliveira. 119.3, 119.4, 118.3. This is what I mean about having better tire wear, because right now De Oliveira is absolutely closing down onto these 3. But we'll see if De Oliveira can try to absolutely show his potential here. There's still a massive question mark as to what might happen in the remainder of this race, as Moshe Reza has now come in for his pit stop. And 118. We can't tell what's happening here. But anyways, we are going to be seeing more pit stop shuffles, as we're now seeing Kagawa already sitting at 122.687. So yeah, there's a mistake there from Kagawa. So if you want to know what exactly happened, let's take a look into the replay as to what exactly happened. So initially Goodwin was ahead. And just wanted to check it. Oh yeah, that is basically just him going off the track. And that's now gifted Goodwin basically the net race lead. Obviously there's still Nuch Tayo and Iron. And Cashew also having a pretty good return so far, currently running in P6. Blue Speed meanwhile down in 19th. And Miyuki now up into 15th. Alright, so De Oliveira has now caught up with Ryan Kagawa. And if you do want to know once again about the importance between these two drivers basically were in each other's seats. Well, swapped actually. They had their seats swapped for a recent amount of time. It was Kagawa for Nerissa Ravencroft and De Oliveira for Claudio Arena before things have changed. And De Oliveira has shown more enthusiasm for Nerissa, which prompted the aero to swap rights between Kagawa and De Oliveira. And since then, it's been like a derby between the two. As we're now seeing Tayo and Iron, the last of our runners to have made their pit stops. So it's now going to be a massive, it's going to be a straight shootout between these 3 for the win here in Laguna Seca. we might be seeing cinema at the end of this race, as we're now coming into 20 laps to go. Obviously, the results are currently still pending. Iron's now dropped down to P12. Shutters is now going to be set to go up into P11. A good recovery drive so far. Asano's is in P9. Alex Grant now down in 20th. Well, all right. Currently in P6, Cashew is in P4. And so the cycle's now essentially coming into the end, and we're now going to see how it works here. Cashew now, this is actually going to be a pretty interesting fight here, because right now we're seeing a pretty much a dog fight for what looks like P4 in this race. Mama Cashew now currently leading this pack of cars. Ferrari, Yazid, Sims, Bumin, Asano, Mendes, Shadaraza, and sooner or later Iron, Williams, Miyuki, Zacharias will be joining in on this fight. And right now Pranata is just descended down into turn 10. Goodwin is now currently in P... Oh, he's only in turn 3. So right now the gaps between the leader and 21st, the last car on the track, is basically, they're only separated by about 30 to 40 seconds, so that's a huge amount of parity here. And now we're seeing De Oliveira. Oh, I also just noticed that Kago has actually made a mistake again. So here's what happened to Ryan Kagawa, because here's the moment that essentially put him out of the equation for the fight for the lead. And you can see there's a big lockup there, but he does manage to bring up more momentum to get himself back onto the track, and he does manage to recover, but that's his chances of a race win now gone. So now, feast your eyes on what could be real cinema here. Now this is a test for Jake Goodwin, to basically have his mental fortitude be tested by De Oliveira, who's going to be showcasing his Brazilian flair of attacking. And with fresher tires, it's basically do or die for De Oliveira to make a move against Goodwin, or to at least force Goodwin into a mistake. We'll see how it goes for this battle for the race win. So basically the idea is, remember what I said about mental resilience and avoiding silly mistakes? De Oliveira is showcasing insane amounts of consistency and mental fortitude to show that he proves, to show to the world that he belongs to be on top there. Meanwhile, as we're seeing more drivers going off the track, I saw Mohamed Cashew going off the track here at turn 10, and that's going to cause an even bigger shuffle, as it's Enzo Ferrari now trying to cover up Haziq Yazid. Angela Sims now. Let's see if she can make a move around the outside on Haziq Yazid. The Archivist will now try to defend that 5th place. I know this big hop into the sausage curbs. Hot dog moment for Haziq Yazid. And they're still going to go side by side with Angela Sims. And now they're coming into turn 3. Who's going to go off the track? It's going to be Haziq Yazid goes off the track. And he stalled the car. He stalled his car. He's out of this race. Oh, that's a very, very aggressive tussle between these two drivers, and that essentially has put pay onto Yazid's chances of winning his race. That's Ryan Kagawa. Ryan Kagawa's issues have continued, and now it's become terminal. He's now out of this race. 2 retirements in quick succession due to drivers going off the track, getting beached in the gravel and maybe in the sand pit, and also getting their cars stalled in the process, and also getting their cars stuck into the gravel trap in the process as well. They're getting beached in the gravel, so that's gonna throw a huge amount of spanner in the works here. Now the podiums now being consisted of JP and EN and ID members. Talk about diversity. And also that will put Tao Bumin as the 2nd best EN class driver. And as it stands right now, he'll be credited with 4th in the international class, because of course Goodwin is currently in the lead. And right now the points will go down to 17th place, so Lusming will get 1 single point for his run. Obviously, and right now we are going to be seeing some race 2. We're going to be seeing probably going to be seeing an all-time generational race 2 here. Meanwhile, we are seeing De Oliveira though trying to still find a way against Jake Goodwin. He just needs to find some spark of brilliance here to try to get himself into the lead. Right now, all he needs is a good exit in one of these corners to go alongside or to force Goodwin into a mistake. Then here's the thing, that we haven't seen Kagawa make that kind of mistake in the first 20 laps. And right now, it's all about just trying to maintain pressure onto Goodwin. De Oliveira, if he does continue to stay, and I saw actually Goodwin actually going off the track, and De Oliveira's gonna go down the inside, and Jake Goodwin's gonna go into the gravel trap, and that's gonna be your Rafael De Oliveira now leading the Laguna Seca Serendipity 400. Meanwhile, more incidents further back. It's Hinoshi Tayo now retiring. Meanwhile, your Rafael De Oliveira will now have open air in front of him. He now has everything to play for. He has this race to lose. Jake Gordon also got off the track. The undercutters, having made their pit stops early, are now about to see their race go down into flames as their tires are not getting up to snuff. You're Rafael De Oliveira. You have only 15 laps to hang on to your race lead. No mucking about here from this point on. Bring home the win for the Jailbirds if you can. The Jailbirds, that's what the Jailbirds are going to be saying to De Oliveira. That's what Narissa might be saying to De Oliveira. This is going to be one generational race, regardless of what happens. Meanwhile, as we do want to take a look into Hinoshi Tayo. And we do want to check on to what's happened to the Ella driver. And if you do want to know what happened to Hinochi, I think the same thing that happened to Great Power. Get a big slam into the wall and immediate retirement. Same thing that happened to Grave. I think if De Oliveira hangs on to this win, it will be the first time an EN class car wins in an EN class in a aero race that coincides with a Hall Life English concert. The 2023 race had to end with no results. In 2024, it was won by an ID class car. In 2025, it was won by a JP class car. And as Iron now joins in on the retirement, we will check onto what happened to Iron. Just wanted to check though onto Iron. I want to see what happened. Massive shame though for the Hakos Bales driver. And if you want to know what happened to her, engine failure, a catastrophic engine failure for Iron. Absolute heartbreak for Iron, but for De Oliveira, he now has an 11-second lead to hang on. Just wanted to ask though, how long can De Oliveira hang on? And also, we're now starting to see some absolute amounts of attrition in the later stages of this race. De Oliveira now sets a 1:17.698. He's absolutely flying with this new set of rubber. Rafael De Oliveira is currently leading here in Laguna Seca, absolutely showcasing his potential, absolutely showcasing his ability to finally get things done. He had his pretty much a close shave. And right now he has a lot of stuff close shave. De Oliveira just needs to remain in control so far. Meanwhile, looking into the rest of the field here, now's a good time to share with you all the progress charts and talking about the drivers who have started where they are and where they are basically started and where they are right now. You gotta look no further than Hanari Miyuki, who basically has done very well to recover from her penalty to be in 11th place, a 15 position gain all things considered. And for Enzo Ferrari, from 16th to 3rd, it's also a very good return for him. Zakaris, meanwhile, will look to still hang on to 12th after starting 23rd. And right now, this is going to shake up to be a very generational race indeed, as now we're going to be seeing Angel Simsno trying to see if he can make moves down the inside into Ferrari. Ferrari have basically made a mistake at around turn 4. He's basically gone off into the track. And right now, we're about to see even more driver mistakes here in this race. And right now, Jay Goodwin looking to still stay where he is in P2. Casio also doing a good job staying where he is in P6. And this is going to be one hell of a popular win if De Oliveira manages to hang on. Dan Evans only barely inside the points right now. Dawa Bobin, who's currently the second best of the EN class runners, also doing a very good job as well. Also a good race though for Enzio Ferrari to get that get the only number 13 in what looks to be an international class P2. Sims also looking to bring home a very good result to give her basically the Anya Befisikar P3 in the international results. Dawon Bomin looking to secure a P4 in class, Asano P5, and that will allow him to get ahead of Tyler Williams. Oh, and that is actually Mendes and Sheldon Reza actually having a bit of a coming together, it seems. Mendes and Sheldon Reza, Rakawawa, if you will, and then Tyler Williams and then Hanari Miyuki, who have done a pretty decent job here trying to recover from that penalty. And then Matthias Zakar is looking to secure that top 10 finish. Or in class, Zurich will look to have his best finish of the season in P11. And then Evans will again finish in P12, but still will maintain the championship lead as it stands. Javier Luzby will look to bring home a P13, Grant in P14. Grant in P14, and in 15th it is going to be actually Jody Pranata, who will be the last of the international driver to score points. So as for the points predictions here, Rafael De Oliveira will now be in the second place behind Dan Evans. Who will be at 600? Evans will be at 603 points. De Oliveira will be at 524. That's yourself. Yeah, indeed. As Asano is going to see if he can consolidate what looks to be a P7 on track, but it will be a P5 in terms of the international drivers' results. Jay Goodwin and Mama Cashew, of course, will be excluded from the points calculations, which means De Oliveira, Ferrari, and Sims will get the top 3 points finishes, despite Sims being out of the actual podium. right now we do have 10 laps to go here in Laguna Seca before the race is officially done and dusted. 17 cars have remained in what has been a very intriguing and entertaining race, and I hope everyone here agrees with me as well. And for Tawan Bumin, it's been a very good return for him. His best result since his podium finish in the Split A race at Fuji Speedway. And obviously, Jake Owen has now obviously pulled up a 16-second gap now that he's basically running wild and free. And look at the gap between De Oliveira and the lap car, and basically the last car on the lead lap, Johnny Pranata. De Oliveira is absolutely enjoying it. He's going to enjoy a pretty big opening into this one. Absolute cinema as we're now seeing more moves now. Enzo Ferrari's gone off. And oh, that's Tawan Bumin's gone off. And as we saw here, Enzo Ferrari has also gone off as well. And so it's basically changing complexion. And Tawan Bumin is now actually still P4 on the track. But P4 on the track, but P3 in the international international class. And right now, Tawan Bumin is absolutely enjoying life here. And also Sims up into P3, and Ferrari has basically dropped down into what looks to me it's a P4. Sims is now in second in the international class. And right now, as for predictions here, Aqua Zero's prediction, obviously watching by on the track side, as you're gonna see her predictions go correct for the second time. Although it's not really as intended, but anyways, it's been intriguing race, all things considered. Oh, Tawan Bumin slightly gone off the track. Into Ferrari, gonna see if he can pick up the scraps. This is a real test of mental fortitude here. It's now just about trying to see if these drivers can try to hang on for dear life here, and I'm starting to see a bit of issue there onto Tawan's resolve. Oh, and there's another move there. Asano has now dropped down into P8. And then Corey Rico Mendes has made the move. So as it stands, the international results will be De Oliveira, Sims, Bumin. Jake Goodwin's gone off! Jake Goodwin's gone off the track! He's gone off the track! He's basically overcooked it at turn 10! A great result for him has now come undone, but what does he care? It's only an invitational race. So it's going to be De Oliveira and now Sims, Bumin, Ferrari, and Corey Rico Mendes, Asano, Shadid Reza, Williams, Miyuki, Zacharias in the top 10. Azurit, Evans, Lusby, Grant, and Pranata rounding up the field. There's only one GB class car and the rest of the international field still running in this race. Who knows what's gonna happen? Zacharias about to penetrate the top 10 on the track. We'll see if he can get close there to Hanari Miyuki to join up the party with Tawan Bumin in the celebrations in the top 10. Great Power, meanwhile, still sitting in the pit lane, pretty dejected after what has happened in both of these races this weekend. Bumin for Biscard, absolutely trying to see if he can bring home the result here. At least one of the BFF entries will bring home the podium celebrations here, but of course it's going to be Rafael De Oliveira still in control with a whopping 25-second gap ever since he's made the move onto Jake Goodwin. He has not looked back ever since. And right now, I don't want to jinx it. But right now he's having the race of his life here. It is about to give Nerissa her first win in HoloProto. And as you may have known, her sultry voice would be the one that basically captures the hearts of many. And just to remind you, everyone, that this is the Laguna Seca Serendipity 400 is a race that coincides with the live concerts that will take place in the next 8 to 9 hours. And if you do want to know more information about the concert, there's a QR code on the bottom right of your screen to scan so that you can be redirected to their website so that you can know more information about the concert coming up, especially about day 2. The tickets for day 2 are still up, especially for the streaming ticket if you're able to afford it. Advent 1, 2, 3. Okay, just Advent 1-3, correct. Hall of English Advent's also having a pretty good day here as it stands right now. 3 of the 5 of the Advent drivers. Oh, Tom Bob has gone off. But manages to keep on running so far. Currently with about 5 laps to go. It's still gonna be a pretty hairy moment here. Will Tawan hang on? Okay. Anyways, 3 Advent drivers inside the top 10. I think that's the most out of any of the EN gens right here. Tyler Williams is the last running Promise member, currently running in P9. And then there's there's one of Justice of Hyuta Sano, and of course one of Myth, currently running inside the top 10. 4 laps to go here in Laguna Seca. And right now we are just gonna see here. And that your Rafa still going off, but also at the same time Enzo Ferrari goes off as well, so that basically negates each of the disadvantages. And right now we're just gonna see how the rest of the field just hangs on here. Johnny Pernata still surviving for a solitary points finish, especially after the crash that's happened in race 1. Alex Grant's hanging on to what looks to be in Class P14. 14 in Class, same with Harvey Lowes PP 13 in Class. Evans will continue his cushioning of results as he will be set to finish in P12 in Class. Azurin will have his best finish of the HoloProto International season in P11. With Matthias Zacharias looking to bring home a top 10 for the Citini. Yuki has done a great job recovering from P26 to P9 in Class at the moment. Tyler Williams 8th in Class, Shadareza 7th in Class, Asano 6th in Class, Corey Recommenders 5th in Class, and then the rest of the field, the top 4 will be running their position overall and in Class. And right now, we just need to just wait and see. We're gonna be waiting until the leader has crossed the line. We're gonna wait for your Rafael de Oliveira to cross the line. He currently is coming into around less than 2 laps to go until he puts his name in the history books. What can I say? He absolutely deserves to be there. He started in the front row, lost that second place momentarily, but he manages to put his strategic acumen to great effect, pitting late and having the freshest tires out of anyone, and then forcing the top 2 into making mistakes. Ryan Kagawa continuously locking up and just giving your Rafael de Oliveira that second place, and then Jake Goodwin locking up himself and giving up space to De Oliveira, and that absolutely paid dividends for him as he now is in his penultimate lap of this Laguna Seca Serendipity 400 Race 2, the race that matters most, because this race will award you points. And as it stands right now, De Oliveira will bring home the maximum 200. It's a reminder, 200 points for a win, 175 per second. As we're now seeing Koirica Mendes drop down a position, he gets overtaken by Hyuta Asano. Asano now is in the top 5 in class. As the positions have switched back. For Rafael De Oliveira, though, there might be a place where he put his foot wrong, but overall, this has been a very great execution for him. This is gonna be a race to remember for him as he now starts the final lap of the Laguna Seca Serendipity 400 in the race lead. The jailbirds are watching, the Rissa's watching, potentially, as he now is about to make history for the jailbirds. Meanwhile, we're looking into the rest of the field. Everyone's still trying to stay put. No one's going to try to make us overtake this lane to this race, but for Yuri Rafael De Oliveira, there had been multiple instances where he has basically missed out on the win. There's multiple instances where he had finished in 3rd or 2nd. There are multiple instances where he's been in the lead, but he's absolutely choked it. See what happened in the last Buriram race, where he led all laps before his untimely demise with him locking up and aquaplaning in a wet Buriram race. But this time it's going to be different. Your Rafael De Oliveira has proven the doubters wrong with only a few corners left. De Oliveira has put up an amazing drive from basically 2nd on the grid to taking the lead, and now it's gonna be a blue whirl for not just himself but for the rest of Ravencroft and the jailbirds. Yuri Rafael De Oliveira has won the Laguna Seca Serendipity 400 Race 2. Muito bem carrera for him, as he has absolutely deserved his spot in the top step on the podium. He's absolutely brought it home for the jailbirds, and you can tell the celebrations, you can tell the beaming smiles out of everyone here in the paddock. Meanwhile, Angela Sims takes 2nd. Tawan Bumin, podium finish for the Fuawa driver. Tons of feel-good stories here in Laguna Seca coming into day 2 of the Serendipity concert. What cinema we're watching here, as we're now seeing more drivers across the line. And that should be it. Oh my goodness. Oh, you can tell how much people wanted to see this result go through. Your Rafael De Oliveira takes the checkered flag. Absolutely amazing. So, Rafael De Oliveira takes the checkered flag over Angela Sims and Tawan Bumin. It's an Advent 1-3, and 3 Advent drivers finish inside the top 10. Meanwhile, the other 3 runners, they represent the sole members of each of their gens. Enzo Ferrari finishes 4th for Crazy Ollie. It's a great run for him to have a great comeback of sorts. Mama Cash has done very well to survive this race 2 in a completely different race, no less as well, for Tsunamaki Watami. Taking about him as well. Hyuta Asano also brings home a very solid P6 on the track, which will be P5 in class. Koirica Mendes is 7th on track. Shada Reza in 8th. Williams 9th, and Hanari Miyuki has a great comeback drive to finish inside the top 10 after that penalty. Matias Zagares finishes 11th on track but gets a top 10 in terms of the class finishes. Azurit, meanwhile, 12th, which now makes it gives him his best result in HoloProto this season. Dan Evans, Javier Lusby, Alex Grant, and Johnny Panata finish out our finishing runners we got Jake Goodwin, Iron, Hinochi Tayo, and Ryan Kagawa. They round out the top 20. And then we got Hazy Gyazi, Great Prowler, Evelyn Kuromi, and Sven Jensen. And then joined by Takeda Adachi and Aziz Bouaziv at the back of the field. Oh, what a race this has been. What a race. Never says higher than an eagle. Well, she's probably soaring high up in space with that wind here. As we're gonna also take our time to confirm the results. And looks to me that there are no... Okay, there are some tiebreakers, I just noticed. But right now, we do want to see the moment that essentially gave De Oliveira his moments. So here's what happened. We're gonna see the replay. So here's what happened. You can see that Jake Goodwin's made a mistake at turn 3, and then he's now going down the inside to force Goodwin to make a mistake there. This is what I mean about mental fortitude being of huge importance in the competition. And they've absolutely shown it there. And then at the same time, we also got to see the likes of basically Goodwin and Kagawa basically choking on their scuffed runs, which absolutely, yes. Take a bow bow. Indeed, you should take a bow bow. But anyways, we are going to finalize the count for the drivers here. So we might want to take us some time. So while we're going to check here as to a few moments that essentially define the race here. I think there has been a moment there for one of our entrants here. Double check also onto what happened to Jake Goodwin. So if you want to see what happened to him, so here is a bit of a replay to see what happened to Goodwin here. You can see it's all okay so far until right here. Just locked up there and just went straight into the gravel trap. Absolutely, it's a big shame that has happened to him. And also just wanted to double check onto what's happened to everyone else. This is a case of an engine failure. So we're gonna check into another set of replays here. And this time this is Hazy Gyazi. You can see here he just absolutely overcooked the corner and that essentially it was him out. And we do want to check on what happened to some of the other retirements here. Kuromi and Sven Jensen. Let's take a look again. That's just Kuromi and Sven Jensen just minding their own business. And as you can see here, they also... You know, it's kind of funny though that they have essentially had their moments at the same time. And actually, Sven Jensen and Krom had their off at the same time, and they just so happen to also get into contact with each other, so that is also a relatively big surprise. So here's let's see, at the same time it went off, and you can see here the incident also made contact with Chromie there. As we're just gonna double check the standings here. Alright, with that out of the way, we are going to get the standings officially done. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's take a look into our championship standings before we close today's stream. Alright, so just wanted to take a look into the race results. Sorry, the championship standings after the Laguna Seca round. It's been a fun race, I'll be honest with you, but of course, the big story now is that after we've reached the halfway stage of HoloProto International, Dan Evans still hangs on to his lead, but now the gap has continued to shrink down into what looks to me a 79-second gap to Yuri Rafael de Oliveira, who has had a race of his life in this race. And then also Hyuta Asano and Tyler Williams in 3rd and 4th. Hanare Miyuki stays in the top 5. Meanwhile, there's Iron who drops down to P6. Dawan Boomin has now made his way into the top 10. Same goes for Ezio Ferrari inside the top 10. With Takeda Dachi and Sven Jensen staying where they are. Matej Zakaris and Anatis Mwase have dropped down outside the top 10, with Angel Sims, Hinochi Tayo, and Koryu Conventus running at the top 15. Shazan Reza is in 16, and also, if you want to know what happened there, Ryan Kagawa has beaten Hazik Yazid for the tiebreaker spot, because he actually scored a 3rd place. His best finish is a 3rd over Hazik Yazid's 4th, with Alex Grant 19th and Johnny Pranata running out the top 20. Yep, it's been a Yabai risk moment, but then it probably doesn't matter anyway, because it at least has an early opportunity to head out to Los Angeles. Anyways, the P21, Evelyn Kuromi, Great Power 22nd, Javi Lusby 23rd, and Joshua Zoret now gets into the double points marker for the first time this season, although it really doesn't say a lot from the defending champion now that he's still rooted at the foot of the table. Alright, with that out of the way, let's take our time to share one final thought. It's been a fun race. Obviously, the Aero have done our part to promote the Serendipity concert to the masses and to the racing fans out there. But for those who want to see the talents perform in Shrine Auditorium, now is the time for you to check the website. There's a QR code on to the bottom right of your screen to know more information about the Serendipity concert that will be hosted in about a few more hours' time. So I would like you all to take your time to scan the QR code at the bottom right of your screen so that you can check the website to see what might entail from this concert if on your end, in terms of like the live attendance tickets or the stream ticket. Whatever the case is, the experience in the concert is going to be breathtaking. So I advise, if you do have the time, you might want to see the concert as well. But if you don't, there's always the free viewing on YouTube. For the cases, we hope you all enjoyed this Serendipity 400 weekend here in Laguna Seca as much as we do. We're going to take a 2-week break after this before we head into Mandalika to decide the CEO's grids for HoloProto World and Japan. That being said, thank you all for your viewership and attendance. My name is Mama Shadow in commentary booth, and we'll see you in the next races. Maybe in VTRP, we'll have to wait and see. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you in Shrine Auditorium. Maybe. Maybe not. Whatever the case, see you at the next race.